Sean says, remember that renowned Christian preachers, evangelists, and influencers are teaching that empathy is bad. And on that note, let's talk about that. Because there's a bunch of stuff being written, and there's a bunch of stuff being said, and there's a bunch of stuff being taught that empathy is not only bad, empathy is a sin. It is sinful. And you've got to reject the sin of empathy. That empathy comes. I've read, I don't know why on this particular issue, I've received books on this. I've received teachings on this. I've had people literally send me like a textbook, a novel, a paperback book about the sin of empathy, within which, by the way, the person literally says, I'm not actually going to define empathy in this book. Which I thought that was great. Anyhow, it was completely filled with, it was bad. It was just bad. It was not a well-written book. And they didn't know what they were talking about when it came to empathy. As a matter of fact, the book wasn't really about empathy. It was about something completely different. Now, some people will say, it's not empathy is not the sin. It's the sin of empathy. There's sin that comes along with it. And the point of saying the sin of empathy is to make people fear empathy. It's like the sin of wokeness. Is it a bad thing to be aware of what's going on in the world? No. That's not what we're saying. We're saying there's a sin that comes with it, and blah blah blah. It's about making people afraid of the term. It's about turning people away from the term. It's about trying to convince people that they should not be empathetic. Right? It's a very loose use of the language. And I thought I would talk about this today because my wife and I have been talking about this. We both meet with people from time to time and care for people and visit people. And empathy is a really important part of pastoral care. Empathy is a really essential part of connecting with one another. Empathy, as a matter of fact, is like so here's my metaphor today. Empathy is a power tool that we use to connect with the people around us. Empathy is a power tool that we use to connect with the world around us. You can look at it, let's think about it as a circular saw, right? A big, powerful 10-inch blade on it, and you can cut through plywood or 2x4s or whatever it is you need to cut through. That blade will do the job. That saw will help you do the job quickly, effectively. It'll help you cut a straight line. It's a wonderful piece of equipment. It is an absolutely wonderful piece of equipment to do the work that you're supposed to do. And for us, the work that we're supposed to do is connect with others. Okay, listen to others and help others in their journey. And empathy is a power tool. It's like a circular saw that helps us to do that. But as a guy who once cut off the tip of their thumb with a circular saw, empathy is also something that we need to learn how to use. It's not sinful. It is not sinful. It is necessary. Empathy is ridiculously important to Christian ministry. But like any power tool, we have to learn how to use it. We have to learn how to take care of it. We have to learn how to charge it. We also need to learn when to apply it, when to use it, because it's not needed in every situation, or it's only needed in the situation for a particular reason, and then you move on to use other tools to do the things that you're doing. I mean, I can get lost in this metaphor of power tools and construction. See, the thing about empathy is it can be exhausting. And if you are using it improperly, that can harm you. We need to be aware that we need to rest. We need to be aware that if we're going into a situation where we are going to find ourselves relying on our empathy a lot, we need to be ready. The blade needs to be sharpened. The battery needs to be charged. We need to remember that in a situation where we are visiting with one another or we are taking care of one another, that sometimes, again, the tool needs to be used to cut something, and then another tool needs to be used to attach something. Empathy is not sinful. It's essential. Empathy is not sinful. It is an incredible tool for us to use to connect with one another that allows us to connect in incredibly deep, intimate, wonderful, authentic ways. I do not believe we can have relationship with others without empathy. I do not believe we can journey as a Christian through this world. I don't believe that we can live the Christian life and do the work of a Christian, do the work that Jesus asks us to do without empathy. I don't believe we can effectively pray without empathy. Be careful with it. Be careful that you know what you're doing with it. Be careful. Ensure that you are rested. Be sure to put it down from time to time. Be sure that you're using it at the right times and for the right reasons. Be aware. Be aware that others may want to borrow your empathy, may want you to come over and borrow your empathy to the place where you are completely depleted. And not because they're malicious, not because they're evil, but because there is so much need. They have so much need. And they know that you have this tool. And by God, they got a lot of use for that particular tool in this moment. So you got to be careful. You've got to be careful. I mean, Jesus, if you think about Jesus's life, he was incredibly empathetic and demonstrates his empathy from time to time. He demonstrates his willingness to connect with the people who were following him and the people who were listening to his teaching, sitting at his feet. He demonstrates his knack for and the need for empathy. But he also went off and away. He also went, remember, there were times when great numbers of people were following him, and then all of a sudden, dude's gone. He's up in a mountain somewhere. He's off in the middle of the lake in a boat somewhere. He's doing what he can to get away from people. And then there are other times when he has great pity on those who are gathering around him because they kept following him. We quoted Kenny Rogers earlier, right? He knew when to hold them and when to fold them, right? He knew when to walk away and when to run. He practiced wisdom in his care for the people around him. He practiced wisdom in his use of empathy. He practiced wisdom in his connection to others. And I know that can feel really weird, right? Like, well, aren't we supposed to always connect with others? Yes. And we're supposed to ensure that we have the ability to keep connecting to others. And if we don't use our energy, if we don't use the tools at our disposal, of which empathy is a great and powerful one, if we don't use those tools at our disposal wisely, we won't be able to connect with people in a way. Because here's the thing. If at the end of the day, we haven't taken care of this tool, and if at the end of the day we haven't sharpened the blade, and if at the end of the day we are using this tool unwisely, and if at the end of the day we're using this tool in a way that isn't perfectly safe, then we can hurt ourselves. As I took the tip of my thumb off one day, it wasn't an accident. It was me doing something stupid with a circular saw. If we're not up to snuff, we can hurt ourselves and we can hurt the people we actually are trying to help. So no, I get you, Sean. You're right. Absolutely. There are people out there teaching that empathy is a sin. Stop listening to those people. They don't know what they're talking about. Empathy is not a sin. And in the same breath, empathy is a powerful tool, and it should be used to connect us with others, and it should be used with wisdom, and it should be used with knowledge, and it should be used carefully. Because we do not want to use a gift that God has given us in such a way that we end up harmed and unable to help others, or in a way that we may harm those we really genuinely seek to assist. Amen.